Ever look at a map and think, wow, Greenland is massive? Well, it's actually much smaller than you think. Africa is actually 14 times the size of Greenland. And this isn't the only deception on our atlases. The same goes for the US, Canada, Europe, and Russia. So welcome back to the show, guys. Today's episode is about how the West colonized our maps, which we will, of course, decolonize. So the first question is, how and why are countries in the global north so much bigger on the map? Well, it's all thanks to European cartographer Gerd de Kremer, better known as Mercator, and his 16th century map projection that has become known as the Mercator map. The 1569 Mercator projection was actually designed for navigating the seas, drawing meridians and parallels as straight lines to help sailors navigate cross-continental voyages. Initially, this map was put on a globe, but the problem really appeared when transferring this three-dimensional curved surface onto flat paper. Using the equator as the middle point left massive gaps by the poles. Mercator's cheeky solution was to quite literally stretch the longitudinal lines onto a flat surface, but that has resulted in a distortion of the Western imagination as well. Although the new maps helped sailors, they also reinforced the perception that Western countries are bigger than their actual size. Power of representation and representation of power. Marian Franklin, a professor of global media and politics at Goldsmiths University of London, explains how this term sums up the direct link between the Mercator maps and the rise of Western nation-states, empires, and colonialism. First of all, it allowed more space for European cartographers to mark towns, cities, roads in their part of the world. More importantly though, the underlying message was, we are bigger, we are stronger. The Mercator edition is also drawn with north above south, which projects notions of self-importance and exceptionalism. White Europe is on top of Black Africa, North America is above South America, and India and China is below White Russia. The narrative is that the world is centered around where white people live or originate from, and that it revolves around their geocultural axis. A useful alternative to the colonial Mercator map is the Gall-peters map, which is an equal area projection illustrating countries with their size relative to each other. The map started a more sincere conversation about the political ramifications of maps, and the differences are glaring. The Peters projection shows how Greenland is actually the size of Congo, rather than all of Africa. Africa is actually twice the size of Russia, and how a country like Tanzania can swallow the UK. Despite the accuracy of size provided by the Peters projection promoted by UNESCO, this can only be achieved with a shape distortion. The map thus lacks distance fidelity, it is near impossible to see Pacific and Indian island states, it cuts off a portion of Asia, and greatly distorts Antarctica. So well and truly there is no perfect map. But there are ways in which we can effectively decolonize this figment of Western imagination that conveniently and consistently is repeated before our eyes, embedding a culture that traditional white spaces are larger and more important than other spaces.